Welcome to Harvest International Ministry. My name is Erica Lanfear. As you can see, I'm not Pastor White. He is still out of town. We just got back from 2 weeks in Panama, on Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, and he went to go to visit his grandbaby for her birthday. So we just finished praise and worship. And God told me this praise and worship, this time to put some war songs on, some worship songs, some songs that, about taking back our territory. Because as you can see, it's the title of our thing, it says outnumbered but never organized. But right now, in our society, we do, as Christians, we are the number one, religion in the world. But other organizations are outnumbering us, and it's time that we take this back. It's time we take back our schools. It's time we take back our young people. It's time we take things back that God has specifically ordained for us. And this is why God had told me to put in some war songs. Like there's a CC Wanted song about taking back our territory, and because we are sitting idly by and letting this stuff happen. And no more of letting us sit idly by. There's too much going on that we need to stand up. We need to pray. But not only do we need to pray and worship, but we need to get to the point where we are getting mad that the enemy's taking this stuff. We are no longer needed to be like, oh, it's just the enemy who's doing this. No, get mad at the enemy. I was, before I went to Panama, I was under attack physically. There was something physical going on. The doctors couldn't say, no, it's not this, it's not that. I didn't want to go into details. And later it was like, it's an attack. God confirmed it was an attack. And that Wednesday night, we were in war. We were warring against this thing that was hitting my body. And by the day that I left to go on this mission trip that we were on and this conference we were on, that thing was gone. And it tried to come back while I was there because we missed one day of prayer. We missed one day of being in what we call the war room, where we were in the war. And that one day, this thing tried to creep on back. So then from that point on, Sister Jennifer and I, the First Lady, said we cannot miss. And if we, for some reason that we just have to miss, we have to make sure that two people are on that line, making sure that they are praying and in war with me and with us. So the title of our thing is, like you can see, outnumbered but never organized. This actually came from a quote that I heard while we were in Panama at a teachers conference. The quote was, "They can outnumber us, but they cannot organize us." This is by Dr. Alex Mataroa. I cannot pronounce his name well, so if you're watching this, Dr. Alex, please forgive me. He is the superintendent of Denver, Colorado school system, and he was a keynote speaker. And this is a quote he was talking about when he was talking about some of the things going on culturally in our society. So I was like, some of the things that are going on culturally, sometimes is also a representation of what's going on. And like I was saying, that Christian is the most, so we are the biggest religion group, so shouldn't we be the most influential? If you're the biggest group that's going on, if you have the most members, shouldn't you be the most influential? But that's not what's going on. What's going on is like we have the LGBTQ plus organization, and they're only 5% of the world's population. But they are in there, they are very organized. They are very specific. They're very intentional what they want to do, and they're getting policies changed. Get their things changed to benefit them. And as Christians, we're just seeing that, there's been so many of them. No, they got a whole month called Pride Month. They got it where you can have transgender males, transgender females, and they can go in each other's bathroom. And they have all these policy changes. But as Christians, we sat idly by and let them take prayer out of school. We sat idly by and let them say, no, you can't talk about God. As teachers, we can't talk about God. We have to try to go through the back door, try to be slick about it now, because as Christians, we didn't stand up, and now we don't put our teachers in that position where if they're Christians, their job is at risk because we don't get organized. So as I say, this refers to the things of our I am trying to go to my next slide. Okay, so it says, you are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others. We are called to be the salt and the light, but often darkness is more organized than light, like I was just saying. We are letting these organizations come in and be out organizing us. Why are we okay with this? Why are we okay with these organizations coming in? We have Muslims coming in, organizers. I was talking just a few seconds ago about another organization. We are sitting idly by and letting these things take over us, and we are not getting mad. We should be mad. We should be it's like it's said, taking our territory. We should be like, there's not going to happen. We should be at these schools praying. If we are teachers and we're Christians, Christians should be first. And teachers should be second. So we should be in our rooms, praying for our rooms, praying for our sis. Even if we got to do it on the slide in the back door, we should be doing something instead of sitting out. And if they have a Christian group, we should be involved in that Christian group. We should be involved in these things. We should be able to be influenced. I have these students, just because they're not my quote unquote my students anymore because I don't have them in class, they're still coming by. They feel so comfortable. My Miss Lanford, I went to church this other day because they feel comfortable talking about going to church in my room. And I let them sing. They're like, oh, we're going to sing. Can we practice in your room? Because they won't let us practice nowhere else. Girl, yeah, I want to hear this there. Let me hear y'all sing. Because I want that to be an encouragement. I want them to see that there are people who are going to stand up with them and be a light and not just be like, oh, I don't, no, I'm a Christian, but you can't sing in here. You can't sing in here. You can't do that. You can't do that. My door's shut. They don't know. People don't know what's going on because they're not loud. They know they're in my room, that they're like, they have like IEPs or this or that. People don't question it. Hey, I don't use it. People don't question this to my advantage. Oh yeah, they had to come up here do some work for a little bit. You say, hey, can I go to Miss Lanford's room? The PE teacher says, I know they're not your students, but they said they need to do some work. Can you go? Yeah, come on in. And they'll do their little work, and then they'll sit there and go, can we sing? Can we show you our song? Can we do this? Just because they see something in me, and that's how we should be wherever we go. Sorry. I'm trying to get this a little bigger. I am so sorry. I thought this was going to be. The Lord said unto Gideon, you have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with the fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead. So 22,000 men. That's a lot of men, y'all. While 10,000 remain. So they're saying, God's telling them, you have too many men. You have too many men. Like, if you have too many people, so you see if anybody's fearful. And so 22,000. So it wasn't like 22. Oh, there's a few little here. And only 10,000 remain. So they had 32,000 people. You went from more than half of your troops just left. You're in war now. How would you feel? You stood there and you said, oh my goodness, all these people just left. And we're supposed to be some type of war. Isn't the more people you have, the better? Let's continue. But the Lord said to Gideon, there are still too many men. There are still too many. After they took you're still at 10,000. To me, that's a lot of men. And God said, there's too many. Okay. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you. If I say, the one shall go with you, he shall go. But if they said, this one shall not go with you, he shall not. So now God's even reducing the number even more. See, I like when you're in the military, you try to recruit all these people. You try to get more people in the army. You try and draft as many people as possible because you want the enemy to be scared. You want the enemy to see that, oh, we have 500, but they got like 50,000 people over there. There's no way we can beat them. But that's not how God's going to use this situation. So God took the men down to the water. So Gideon took the men down to the water. The Lord told him, separate those who lap at the water with their tongues, as a dog, from the one who knelt down to drink. 300 then drank the cup with their hands, lapping the dog like a dog. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, with those 300 men that lapped, I will save you and the Mennonites into your hands. So they let the others go home. So now they went from 32,000 to 300. The military that was with Gideon went from 32,000. See, now that they're looking at, oh gosh, we're outnumbered. But that's not the point. The point is that God's going to use those few that he has to win this war. But see, because we can't see, if God had let those remain stay, they'll think that they did it. They think they were organized, they did all this stuff. We did it. But God comes in, most of the 300, God is so well organized that he uses those 300 to fight off the enemy. And they won with those 300. one of the things that as Christians we are doing, we are losing influence over the youth. The enemy is proactive. We must be intentional in teaching and discipling with discipleship. We have here at Harvest, we have just back in January we started a discipleship group with many of our young people, and they finished the first session. They went to the second session, and they just finished it a few weeks ago. Their second session, because when they say they're saved, they still need teaching. They need discipleship, because this is when the enemy can easily turn them back to the ways. Because they still have some of that stuff in them. I'm saved. Life is easy now. Yay! I won't have no worries. The enemy won't attack me. No. The enemy is mad. He don't care nothing about them. He's mad because God just got another person to come into his army. So now the enemy's in there trying to say, oh, you remember this? You remember this? Remember last weekend we went out and you weren't drinking? See, now the enemy's going to go in there and try to just go them back to it. Because they're freshly new. They don't have enough word in them. They don't have enough teaching. They haven't been praying. They haven't been reading. So now they need to learn how. Some people are like, I don't know how to study the Bible. I don't know how to study. This is when discipleship and teaching comes in. We cannot let our youth keep going, sliding by just because, oh, they say they saved. Okay, they're good. See, we haven't had a youth leader in a while, and we're about to ordain a new one. Because she's the one that has stepped into that role of talking to our youth. She has not. We have started a discipleship class. She's been there, communicating with them, talking to them when they have an issue, when they need to talk to somebody. She has stepped in and been that person. And it needs to be more than just one person. It needs to be the whole church. All of us need to be stepping in, talking to them. Do not let them sit idly by. And especially with the young men, Brittany can talk to them so much. Young men so much about certain things, but there's certain things Brittany just can't talk to him about. She's a boy mom, but certain things as a boy mom, when certain things come up, Jerry, I need you to talk to Noel. I need you to talk to Jedi. I need you to talk to Jalen about these things because I can't relate. Like I'm a single mom, and I have one son, and he's going through that. He's 11 years old, so he's a preteen. He's going through the stages. And when he got his first pimple, our pastor's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a talk with him. And it's like our pastor took on that responsibility. But then our pastor said, you know what, I'm going to have these younger men. They're older than my son. They're in like late teens, early 20s, talk to him because he kind of looks more up to them. He will look at pastor like this old man talking to me about this stuff. But he'll receive better from a younger man. So then they stepped into this role as somebody who can talk to this young man about stuff that I can't talk to my son about. I feel uncomfortable when certain things come up. I'm like, oh gosh, how am I going to say this? How am I going to tell him this? Because there's no male around right now. So how am I going to sit there and tell him, okay, let me just say this real quick. If he has any questions, I can divert the questions till later. But let me just get this taken care of. Hey, you need to go take care of this real quick. And usually there's no questions until I can get to. But we still need men to step up and be part of these young men's lives, especially the ones who, and it doesn't have to be one who doesn't have a father. Chris can come and say something to Noel, because he might understand science. Noel might love science. So then Chris, hey, can do this about science. There's things that it takes a community. It's not just one person. Sometimes it takes more. I remember when I was younger, it wasn't just my parents who had influence in me. It was like all neighbors had eyes on us. Oh, if I did something crazy, most of the time it was my brother, but I wasn't the perfect child. But if they did something crazy, I'm telling your mama. They had more eyes because people were more involved. It's now that things have gotten so like, don't talk to my son like that. Don't say nothing to my son. My son would never do that. Your son would be the first one to do it. Your child will be the first one to do it. And that's what we have to get away from also, is that our children will do certain things. But if somebody just coming to you and they come from a place from a love, say, hey, I saw your child doing this. It's not because they're trying to make your child look bad. They're trying to prevent things. And I think that's where we lack. We don't like that community, that getting together. So another thing, that's a trend that's going on within our church that's causing this other things to out-organize this is a decline in church attendance. In the U.S., the percentage of adults who identify as Christians fell from 77 in 2009 to 63 in 2021. There's a lot of people, and granted, COVID is a part of that too, but that's even before COVID. People were starting to leave the church. they're like, I don't want to go to church. They're hypocrites, and I'm going to go more into that before I get ahead of myself. But we're having this issue where people are not coming to church. And it says in the word, fail not to assemble. We need to get together. That's how some things come off. You know, I said we were doing war songs. I can war by myself, but if Lisa and I get to war, it says like, you know, one chase 1,000, two chase 10,000. If Lisa and I get to war together, more things are going to come out. If Lisa, Brittany, and I get together, more things are going to come out. If Lisa, Brittany, and I and Jerry get together, more things are going to come out. We have to get together. Otherwise, that's the organization. We are not going to win nobody if we cannot get together and get organized. And if it's just as simple as praise and worship, or just warning, it's like, I know the enemy is attacking things all around here. And we sit idly by and watch the enemy do it and don't say nothing. And they are laughing at us because they're thinking, you are boo-boo the fool. Because we are outnumbering you. And then we have the wisdom and knowledge from God. We have all this stuff that God has given us. We don't use it. And the enemy's like, oh, well, they don't use it. I'll use it for what I have. So what are some reasons why that we're declining as a group? We do not practice what we preach. We do not practice what we preach. We are sitting there saying that we are love, that we love everybody. We love you no matter what. But we don't do the things that love is. It says love is patient. Are we always patient? Are we always patient when something happens? I know. I'm going to be very honest with you. Because this right here has hit me. I am not the most patient person in the world. And I am nervous to ask God for patience because patience comes through trials. You know, you got to go through stuff to get patience. And I'm really nervous about it. But God knows. And so love is patience. We are not as people we are not as a group as a patient. Love is kind. How many times have we not shown kindness to people? They come to the door, we see them in a thing. Somebody drops something, we just walk by. Oh, they dropped that. Somebody drops some money now. We might be quick to get that money because we're hoping they give it to us. But if somebody drops, sometimes we let it walk by. Or if we see somebody who's like struggling to load groceries in the car, how many have stopped to say, do you need any help loading those groceries into your car? How many have walked through a door and just let it close as you're walking? And not knowing somebody was coming behind you and you did not hold that door open. But we call ourselves a Christian. Love it does not envy. I know I see people sit there who watch somebody, Christians watch somebody buy them a car. I'm like, oh, they think they all that because they don't got them a new car. But they Christian now. Oh, I wish I could have got that car. But instead of being happy for them, we start being envious and want what they have. No, if I'm grinding, you be like, ooh, pastor went back to school. Ooh, I want a degree too, but I'm willing to put in the work to get the degree. I'm not just saying, oh, I want that. I wish I had that. I deserve that more than they deserve this. I deserve that. I look at Brittany's house. She got 3 floors. I deserve 3 floors. But that's not what God gave me. I'm glad I don't have 3 floors. That means I got to keep that house clean. Brittany, why would I can barely keep my 1 level house clean. Goodness gracious. So why would I need to be envious of Brittany when God knows I couldn't handle that? God is not boastful or proud. See, these are some of the things that they see us as Christians be. They see us be boastful, like, I got this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to clean that. You're not going to clean the toilet, but Jesus got down and cleaned the disciples' feet. And back then, their feet were not the cleanest feet. They didn't go to the nail salon and get no pedicures every week. They walked through some stuff. It wasn't just dirt. There were animals pooping all over the place, and they probably don't walk in something. But Jesus bent down and put a towel out and washed their feet. And then we have the nerve to be proud. It does not dishonor. Sometimes we can dishonor people in authority. We can dishonor our pastor. We can dishonor our parents. I tell my kids, I said, you guys didn't ask for this, but I'm a teacher. What you guys do reflect me. Because people look at you like at teachers' kids. It's kind of like pastors' kids. They have a certain expectation of kids that are like teachers and pastors. And I said, you guys have a I said, two things are going to happen with you. People are going to want to be your friends because you're a child of a teacher, and they think they'll be able to get away with stuff, or they're going to pick on you because you're a child of a teacher. I said, so you guys are going to have it on both ends. You're going to have it rough because people are going to be like, oh, you think you're all that because you're a teacher, because your mama's a teacher. Oh, hey, you think your mama going to let do this for us? Call us and, what's that, DoorDash us some food? So she's a teacher. You know, just simple things like that. So then I was telling Lavea, because my oldest, she's about to go to high school. And since she's going to be, and that's where I work in the high school. I said, when it's in the elementary, it's not as much. But when she gets in the high school, people are really, she's your mom. Oh, okay. You think your mom will let me do this? You think your mom will let me do that? Oh, you don't want to do this because your mom's a teacher. So I had to have these conversations with her so she's prepared for this. Okay, we do not, as Christians, we're not supposed to be doing things that's self-seeking. How many times have we heard about Christians committing adultery? And I'm not just talking about the people up front that we see on TV, but there's people in the congregations that are having affairs, watching porn, messing with kids. Now, when I say cussing, I'm not talking about newly converts cussing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who've been saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost for 40 years, and then they leave the church building on Tuesday, you hear them cussing up a storm. People who say they're Christian, but they're doing drugs. People who are Christian who are abusing their spouse, abusing their kids. They're doing these things that are not easily. We're not supposed to be easily angered. We're saying we're Christian, but somebody dropped a drop of water right there, and I'm like, why are you dropping that water? We're so quick to anger, and not realizing that sometimes our anger will repel people further. Like, I don't want to be like that. Or every time they see me, like when I used to come to church, when I first started coming to this ministry, I always looked like I was upset about something when I first would come in. I always looked like I was mad. Even though I wasn't, I was in a rush. Oh, let me hurry up. I got to put this down. I got to do this. I got to do that. And it's like, any new person would think, dang, she's not friendly. She's mean. No, because she don't never hardly speak to nobody. She don't speak to nobody. She's just worried about that food. That food ain't going nowhere. That she was worried about that. That ain't going nowhere. Because I just looked angry. And that's a repellent. Keeps no records of wrong. This is a hard one for me, because when it comes to my son, specifically my son. Now, with other people, I can easily forgive and forget it. With my son, it's really hard because he repeats the same thing over and over again. And it's like, okay, now when I say this, it's not like he's gotten better. He's adopted, and there's a lot of things that's happened. And so I remember it. I have to remember, okay, I can forgive, but I have to remember so that I can tell him. I had to think about it, because I was like, am I being a hypocrite about this? Am I being okay about this? And I had to remember, okay, I have to remember these things, the wrong things he's done, because since he repeats it, and sometimes like, well, I didn't know. I'm like, no, Lamar, remember we had this conversation about the same thing 3 weeks ago. And it says, okay, I'm not keeping a record of wrong to hold it in. I'm keeping a record of wrong so that I can make sure that he understood. So that's why I said I had a hard time with it, was because I wasn't quite understanding why I was keeping the record of wrong that he has. Does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. Sometimes when we see people doing wrong, we get excited. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be a Christian. Am I supposed to get excited when Jerry does something wrong? I'm not supposed to get excited when Jerry does something wrong. Ooh, Jerry did that. Ooh, maybe take the heat off me. People ain't looking at me no more. No, people still, I might, Lisa might not be looking at me. She might be looking at what Jerry just did. But Brittany can still see what I just did. So we're thinking everybody, since Jerry did something wrong, everybody's looking at Jerry. No, everybody's not looking at Jerry. Because God's going to reveal, if you're doing something wrong, God's going to reveal whatever you're doing to somebody. Okay. So the power of organization over numbers. So the importance of us being organized. Sometimes we can have 1,000 people, and 980 of those people don't do nothing, and only 20 of them are the ones doing all the organization. So why is it being? So I've been noticing, because my son's involved in sports, And I've been noticing something with this. There are more non-Christians involved in our youth than there are Christians. Lamar has this coach. Now, thank God he's a Christian. So I thank God he's a Christian. He hasn't been saved long, but he is saved. He's been saved for a few years, and he's all into his kid, what they're doing. Lamar, we'll see him now. Mind you, it's not even football season. Lamar, how you been doing? He'll look at me. I've been talking back to my mom. All right, when football practice starts, you're going to run a lap. Lamar already knows next Monday he got to run an extra lap. Football practice ain't started. This sports, he goes to the school. He got permission with the school. Hey, these are my football students. Can I ask about their grades? And he got permission from us to do this. He said, because I wanted their behavior and the grades, so that he can keep. He said, because if they're not doing their work, if they're not behaving right, I'm gonna get them at practice. So Lamar has gotten in trouble at school, and his coach finds out, and his coach makes him run. Now, mind you, my son is not the only one who gets in trouble. I was speaking because he's my son. But now, towards the end of the season, football season last year, it got really funny because they started going to practice. Coach Courtney, I got in trouble at school today. I got sent to ISD. They start telling on themselves before he couldn't even find out. They start telling on themselves because they knew it. Hey, maybe I'll get in less trouble if I go ahead and tell them than I would if I don't tell him. He comes to school, and see, that's the influence. It's a positive influence, and they are crazy about him. They want to go spend the night at his house. They want to go hang out with him. The family, with his family. When they have something going on as parties, they want to go over there. They want to go hang out with him, just because he's had that positive influence. Now, how many of we could say that of our Christian men have that type of influence where they want to go to some? Mind you, he has kids, so it's not just he has two kids from a previous relationship, and then he has his wife's kids, and he's still involved. He still makes room for all these other kids. In that aspect, he reminds me a lot of our pastor. No matter how many kids come into this church, he always has more room. It's like his heart expands as more kids come because he still has enough room to love everybody. And this is what I'm saying, that we have these, there's some non-Christian people who are part of the youth sports leagues. And they're out there, they're raising money for them. They're doing all sorts of things so they can have a good time. And this is where we're losing them because they're not Christians. They'll go in there. Some will cuss up a storm out there. They go if you are at their house. Some of them are drinking and this and that. But don't ever say that they don't do for the kids because they'll stop everything. Lamar had a coach before this, and I told the coach, I said, Coach, I'm gonna have to take him off because he's just not listening to me. He said, let me talk to him. He got on and he went down on one knee and looked at Lamar in the eye. It kind of, to me, and I felt like, oh my gosh, he kind of put Lamar as a respect level. Even though Lamar's a child, he went down there like, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and we're going to have a conversation about your behavior. And then Lamar did start, he was trying to act better stuff after that conversation. So I was like, do you want me to go tell Coach Adam that you're acting up? And Coach Adam, he's not a Christian, but he's one that has positive influence on it. And we have sat idly by and let people who are non-Christians are having more influence than us. Now, mind you, he's a good person, but he's not a Christian. There should be more Christian people influencing our kids than non-Christian people. So when something comes up, and let's say he's cussing, but these 5 people at my church say cussing's not right. And they don't never cuss, but this one man does. Those 5 more people will have more influence on my son than that one person when it comes to cussing. So we have, this is something that is, the whole football season just kind of like was on my heart and kind of upset me because we have more non-Christians getting together and doing more for our youth, and our youth are like, well, if they say they're Christian, but they don't do nothing for us. They don't play like they're Christians, and they do a whole bunch for us. So I think it's just easier not to be Christian because then I could do all the things I want to do. Sorry, y'all, please forgive me on YouTube and okay. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. Now, that's something I was taking. When it comes to this, yes, I'm a parent. I need to train up my child. Lisa's a parent, train up her child. Our pastors are parents. We have parents in here, and we're training up a child. But like I was saying earlier, it takes a village. And if I see that Nathaniel is into, he's doing, I don't know if it's taekwondo or some type of thing, I should be asking him, hey, how'd it go? Did you get your belt? I should be asking him questions about this. I shouldn't be just sitting there like whatever. If this is something he wants to continue doing, be good at. Like, I have some people ask me, my youngest daughter's in gymnastics. How's she doing in gymnastics? Has she moved up again yet? How's she doing? Because they're invested in this. It's not just me. It's like, it doesn't take just money to be invested in a child. It takes you like, oh, let me see you do your flip. That is so good. Let me see, Nathaniel, let me see you do a high kick. Now, I don't know if a high kick is something for real. I'm just using that as an example. Let me see you do this. Jalen, let me, when I went to Jalen's, I didn't go to, his team was playing the same time, the same day as my son, even though they didn't play against each other. And I was like, oh, I want to take a picture of Jalen and Lamar together. And then when they get older, they'll see that. So I was like, so Jalen will know, oh, she just didn't, want to come see her son. She was watching my game too. She saw me doing this too. And I'll ask Jalen about football. Hey, what position you play? How you doing? And he'll tell me. He gets excited. So we want to be able to encourage to be involved in good things, because when we encourage them to be involved in good things like the sports, the taekwondo, the gymnastics, they might not, when they get older, they might not want to do the craziness. They might not want to go hang out and sell drugs. They might not want to go drunk driving because they're like, no, man, because I got too much invested in my football. I got too much invested in basketball. If I go do something stupid, I can mess my whole life up. Because we have all these people training up a child, and they see that more than just their parents are involved. They see that more people want them to succeed. And that's what we want. We want them to succeed. We want that the Christians are the top. Not just like we're fine, because I just want my little shack, I've heard this thing, I just want my little shack in heaven. Or I just want to get by as long as I can pay my bills. No, we want them to live my life more abundantly. And one way they can live more life abundantly is if they are being successful. We don't want it to be okay for them to be idly sitting by. And success does not necessarily mean college educated. They can get a trade. They can develop other things. We want them to be successful. We want them to see that you can be a successful Christian. Biblical modeling for mentoring. Older generations are called to mentor and to train the younger with intentionality. Give me a second. Older women, likewise, are to revert in their behavior, not malice, gossip, nor a slave to much wine, teaching what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be sensible, pure, workers at home, kind, being subject to their own husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored. As we get older and we enter new stages of our lives, like when we're younger, we're mothers. As we get older, we become grandmothers. We're supposed to, as we get older, we're supposed to be teaching people how to love their kids, how to love their husbands. Now, I can't teach nobody how to love their husband because I'm not married, so I can't teach them. But I could teach them how to love their kids. I could teach them no matter what your kids do, how they act, love them. You might not agree with them. Like a lot of things my kids do, I do not agree with. I don't agree with my son, finding out my son is at school cussing. But I still love him. And he needs to know that I still love him. I don't agree with my youngest daughter talking back. Leilani, you need to stop talking back to people. But I still love her. This is what we're showing people. Just because they do something wrong doesn't mean we don't love them no more. And this is something that I think sometimes we get things like, oh, they messed up. They messed up. I ain't talking to my child because she did this. She didn't go to the college I wanted her to go to. I'm an Auburn fan. She went to the University of Alabama. I'm saying that from experience because my niece, Auburn fan, got a full ride to the University of Alabama. Didn't get a full ride to the University of Auburn. So she took the full ride to pay for college because her mom is a single parent. So she took the full ride. She honestly had people who were upset with her for taking the full ride to the University of Alabama. And so they said, ooh, you got a full ride. No, they got angry. They got upset. But they're supposed to be family. They're supposed to love her no matter what. No, they got mad. Stopped talking to her because she's not a war eagle. This is not how we're supposed to act. We're supposed to be teaching the people that they might not go to the college you want them to. They might become a musician and you want them to become a football player. But if you go back to the Bible verse earlier, train up a child the way should go, they might be a better musician than they are a football player. So then that's when you need to examine. This is why we come in as older people. When all women get older and they're in a different stage of life, they're supposed to be teaching us younger parents, hey, he's a better drummer than he is catching the football. He drops the ball every time I go to a football game, but he can bang the mess out them drums. Don't be mad at him. He might go further with them drums than he will ever go play football. And this is the things that we need to start teaching. 2 Timothy 2:22. And what you have heard from me in the presence of witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others. One thing that we're lacking when it comes to teaching, we're lacking studying the word. Because how am I going to teach you 2 + 2 and I don't know nothing about math? Or let me do this. How am I going to teach you 4 × 4 and I can't do addition? How am I going to teach you multiplications and I can't even add? You can't. We need to learn how to do this. Even if you're just one step ahead, we need to learn how to do these things. Because this is all part of organization. How the church influenced change before. See, we're in a time where we don't influence change. We don't have that. But there was a time that the church did influence change. Churches led social change in the past. They did this through unity and organizations. One of the things they did it through, I don't know how well you can see that picture. You can't really see it, but like Martin Luther King's up there. The Civil Rights Movement. Most of those people in the Civil Rights Movement were Christians. Dr. Martin Luther King, a reverend. We had other people who are Christians who led this for social change. They changed. They had the school system segregated. They had they used to have I can't think of the white signs for white bathroom. Segregation became illegal because the church stood up and organized and led this stuff, marched. Now, they didn't do violent. Weren't the violent ones. They didn't believe in violence, but they marched for it. They got together, had these little meetings, and they organized these meetings and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the counter. We're going to go to this restaurant here. We're going to sit down, and we'll order our food. And if they refuse to serve us, we're going to sit there. It didn't take a whole elaborate thing. We're going to sit there, and we're not going to move unless the police move us. And then they have people, since they started doing this in the South, they have people coming from the North. And all this because the church caused change. It wasn't non-Christians. It was the Christian church. Learn to do well. Seek judgment, relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. This is what we're talking about. Let us learn how to do things right. If I go to somebody and say, hey, how did I sing that song? You really want to know the truth? Yeah, I really want to know the truth. Now this is a judgment. Erica, singing is not your forte. I won't recommend you singing again. Really? Yeah, you weren't in tune. You hit them high notes and it sounds like you're squealing. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is how it sounds. I should be able to reflect on that, knowing that's coming from a good place. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Not giving up on meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Not giving up meeting together. I was talking about the youth groups, the youth organizations for sports. They meet together monthly. They talk about what they're going to do, what event they're going to do, how they're going to have the end of the year, how they're going to have this, how they're going to have that. Even when it's not football season, they're having meetings about football. When it's not baseball season, They're having meetings about baseball. Okay, who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to do this? They say they have to plan ahead to be well organized. And I think we are the ones that be the model. But actually, I'm looking at them like, oh gosh, they are the model of organization. We are not the model of organization. So call it Move Beyond Sundays. Form small groups, support ministries, disciple others, and serve. This is how we're going to get people back in the church. We are, instead of being more organized, being very intentional, being organized about how we do things. Now, sometimes God will say, hey, I need you to go tomorrow. I need you to go to that church in Tennessee. And sometimes we have to get up and go. But in God's mind, God has already organized this whole thing. So to us, it's spare the moment. But to God, it's already all organized. He's already got the church you're going to go preach at. He's already got the people who are going to be there. Because God can say, I need you to go get up tomorrow, get in your car, get on I-20, and go to Tennessee. Okay, what city in Tennessee, God? Just do what I said. But you ain't telling me what city. How am I supposed to know when to stop? I'll tell you when to stop. And you're thinking, how in the world am I? This is so disorganized. But in God, God's already organized. He has a plan. He knows if he tells you too much, you are not like, I'm not going to that city. I'm not going to Nashville. Ain't nothing but drunks up in Nashville. I'm not going there. God already knows our mindset. No, I'm not going. That's too far to drive. So that's kind of like he did Abraham. Go and walk until I tell you to stop. And you're thinking, he just told Abraham to walk and then give him what? But see, we think, and our human flesh that's unorganized. But that's not organized because, again, like I said, God has planned all this stuff ahead of time. He knew us, like I said, he knew us when we were in the womb. So he knew this 2,000 years ago at this on July 7, 2025, he going to need me to go to Chattanooga, Tennessee to do something. He need me to go to Tennessee. And he ain't going to tell me it's going to be Chattanooga until I get to Tennessee because I'm already in Tennessee by then. And he know I'm not going to turn around if I'm already in Tennessee because it's like, well, I don't came this far. And so there's a song called I Come all the way this far by faith, too late to turn around. I've come all this way by faith. I'm not going to turn around. So that's why God isn't always, it seems like, oh, that's so disorganized. We cannot be outnumbered, but we can be out-influenced if we do not organize. And we're already there. We're already out-influenced. We have influencers on social media that dress in hardly nothing, and they are influencing our young girls into body shaming, into want to commit suicide. They have all this influence just by a picture. And the church has minimized, its influence has minimized. I'm thinking, I said prayer in school, I'm thinking at a football game, it's a moment of silence. We can't even pray at a football game anymore. We have to have what they call a moment of silence. Because we have just let everything go to the wayside. We have not stood up for our kids. And then by doing those, so we have opened the door to the enemy to come in and take our kids. By letting this stuff happen. They take our kids. Our kids now we used to be like number one in education. As a U.S., we are no longer number one in education. We're not even in the top 10 in education. Because we have stopped doing certain things. And we have become so disorganized as a group that we have allowed the enemy, who has become very organized, to creep into our schools and take over and say things to our kids that is not of him. That has a negative influence. But then the enemy we have more kids with IEPs, more kids who need help with things because I said, that's it, Lord, forgive me, I just said because the enemy has creeped in and taken their mind. And we have allowed it. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for this word, Father. We thank you that you have opened our eyes to being unorganized. The enemy has easily came in and crept in and have become an organized unit, and we have sat here and allowed it. Lord, open our eyes to how we can come together and have more of an influence, not just in our young people's lives, but influence in new Christians, influence in people who are not even saved. That we will open our mouth and we will no longer be silent. That we are taking back the territory that you have so freely given us, and that we have allowed the enemy to come in and take from us. Lord, will not stand by and allow this any longer. In Jesus' name, amen.